I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats. But it's hard. And it's lonely. It's very lonely. I just know that if that loneliness can exist, so can other things, and I will be okay.
What happens when a Hollywood rising star, a billion-dollar brand, and a classic fairy tale collide and absolutely crash and burn? Welcome to one of the biggest entertainment disasters in recent memory, and at the heart of it all, Rachel Zegler. Once hailed as the future face of Disney royalty, she now finds herself embroiled in rumors of lawsuits, public backlash, and get this, allegedly owing Disney a jaw-dropping $150 million after the catastrophic failure of Snow White. Sounds wild, right? But here's the kicker. Rachel isn't staying silent. Oh no. Behind the scenes, she's furious, frustrated, and possibly fighting back in ways that are just starting to surface. Is she going broke? Is Disney going nuclear? And is this the end of her Hollywood fairy tale? Buckle up, because we're diving headfirst into the most chaotic PR meltdown since Cats. Let's unpack the full story from the red carpets to the courtroom. Before the drama, there was the dream. Rachel Zegler was plucked from relative obscurity and catapulted to stardom when she landed the role of Maria in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. Critics raved, awards buzz followed, and suddenly Rachel was everywhere. Late-night interviews, magazine covers, fan cams on TikTok. She had the voice, the looks, the charisma. And Disney? They saw gold. They cast her as Snow White in their highly anticipated live-action remake, a move that was both bold and controversial. Rachel was young, outspoken, and diverse, a clear symbol of Disney's push toward a more modern, inclusive era of storytelling. From the outside, everything looked perfect. A talented newcomer, a beloved franchise, and Disney's near-limitless marketing power. What could possibly go wrong? Spoiler: everything. It started small, offhand comments during interviews, clips that made it onto social media, snippets that didn't play well out of context. Rachel called the original Snow White weird. She said the prince was a guy who literally stalks her. She emphasized that this Snow White wasn't about love, but about power and self-discovery. On paper, it was modern, empowering. But to Disney's core audience, parents, families, and fans of the 1937 classic, it felt like an attack. Suddenly, people weren't excited for the film. They were skeptical, defensive, even angry. And the marketing didn't help. Disney leaned into the controversy, hoping to stir buzz. But instead of excitement, they got hashtags like "Not My Snow White," "Boycott Disney," and yes, even "Fire Zegler." By the time the trailer dropped, the damage was done. Comment sections were flooded with negativity. Dislike counts skyrocketed. Reddit threads dissected every frame. And the media? Oh, they had a field day. Then came the box office numbers, and it was officially a disaster. According to insiders, Disney poured over $250 million into the production and marketing of Snow White. With reshoots, delays from the Hollywood strikes, CGI touch-ups, and multiple test screenings, the budget ballooned. But the return? An embarrassing $43 million domestic on opening weekend. Internationally, things weren't much better. Analysts began whispering that Disney could lose between $120 and $150 million on this film alone. Cue panic mode. High-level Disney executives reportedly held closed-door meetings to figure out how it all went wrong. And guess whose name kept coming up? Rachel Zegler. Rumors started swirling that Disney's legal team was combing through her contract, looking at morality clauses, PR triggers, and performance guarantees. The whispers? That Disney might seek financial restitution, as in, actually demand that Rachel pay back part of the damages. Now, to be clear, this is unprecedented. Actors don't usually get held financially liable when a film tanks. But Disney's frustration wasn't just about money. It was about image, legacy, and the idea that one person had torched a billion-dollar brand. So, how did Rachel respond? According to sources close to the actress, she was blindsided, completely shocked. She'd believed this role would solidify her place in Hollywood royalty. Instead, she was being blamed for a cultural and financial disaster. But more than shock, there was anger. Privately, Rachel is said to be furious. Furious at Disney's handling of the PR. Furious at the way she was pushed into apologizing for her comments. Furious at how quickly the narrative turned from rising star to public enemy number one. In interviews, she's remained composed, but behind the scenes, insiders say she's considering legal counsel of her own. There's talk she may push back against any attempt to hold her financially liable. and there are even whispers that she may go public, calling out Disney for failing to protect her and for using her as a scapegoat. And here's where it gets spicy. Disney's PR team allegedly ghost-wrote parts of her apologies, meaning those carefully worded statements of remorse, not entirely hers. It's becoming clear this isn't just a PR cleanup, it's a corporate war, and Rachel Zegler might just be preparing for battle. Meanwhile, the rest of Hollywood is watching and not saying much. Rachel's future projects have suddenly gone quiet. Rumors of new deals have fizzled. Producers are reportedly wary of casting her, not because of talent, but because she's become radioactive. That's not a knock on her skill, it's a statement about perception. In an industry that thrives on image, controversy is bad for business. Even her co-stars have distanced themselves. Gal Gadot, who played the evil queen, has remained silent. Martin Kleba, who played Grumpy, subtly hinted in interviews that the backlash had robbed the cast of what should have been a celebration. The message is loud and clear. Hollywood loves a comeback story, but only after the dust settles. This isn't just a Rachel Zegler problem, it's a Disney problem. The studio has now faced a string of underperforming live-action remakes: The Little Mermaid, Peter Pan and Wendy, and now Snow White. The common thread? A disconnect between the studio's desire to modernize and the audience's desire for nostalgia and storytelling. Critics argue that Disney is too focused on messaging and not enough on magic. They're reimagining classics not to enhance them, but to overwrite them. And audiences are pushing back, hard. Snow White has become the symbol of that backlash. And Rachel Zegler, she's caught in the crossfire. But here's the question: is she the cause, or the consequence? So what's next for Rachel Zegler? She could go quiet, retreat from the spotlight, let the storm pass and make a comeback in a few years, rebranded and reimagined. Hollywood loves second chances if you play your cards right. Or she could fight. She could call out the hypocrisy, the pressure, the manipulation. She could expose how studios use young actors as mouthpieces and then abandon them when things go wrong. She could become a symbol for the next generation of talent, one that's not afraid to push back. And Disney? They'll recover. They always do. But they'll have to take a long, hard look at their strategy. The Snow White debacle is more than just a bad movie. It's a turning point. If Disney wants to regain trust, they'll need to go back to the basics: great stories, timeless characters, and respect for their audience. As for Rachel Zegler, well, her story's still being written. So the burning question on everyone's mind: is this the end of Rachel Zegler's career, or is this just the beginning of a brutal but survivable lesson in the school of Hollywood hard knocks? Let's be clear, Hollywood has a long history of comebacks. Stars like Robert Downey Jr., Kristen Stewart, and even Johnny Depp have faced overwhelming backlash or industry exile, only to return stronger, more focused, and sometimes more respected than ever. But those comebacks don't happen by accident. They require strategy, timing, and most importantly, humility. For Rachel, the path to redemption isn't closed, but it's narrow. Here's what a comeback would actually require. 1. Own the narrative. Forget the PR fluff. If Rachel wants to win back public trust, she needs to speak from the heart, direct, raw, and real. A genuine, unscripted moment could do more for her image than any carefully written apology ever could. 2. Disappear to reappear. Stepping away might be the smartest move. A quiet break from the spotlight to refocus, train, and maybe take on a small indie project could help reset her public image. Let people miss the talent, not the controversy. 3. Pick the right comeback role. If she returns, the role has to hit hard, something raw, honest, and far from the glitz of big brand films. A powerful performance in a character-driven story could remind Hollywood and the audience why she was a star to begin with. Anyway, this concludes today's video. Be sure to subscribe to LoafTube for future celebrity videos, and turn on that post notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Until then, see you in the next one.